So the marketing stack that I use when I'm setting up a brand new company is a few key tools. I think about it in terms of quantitative analytics and measurement, qualitative feedback, and optimization and testing. So in those three buckets is really what I think about for my marketing stack. There's also a fourth one, which is kind of customer communication and automation and that type of thing. But from kind of a metrics and analytics, I look at kind of three key technologies. One is Google Analytics because it's free and it does a decent enough job. Second is Segment. And Segment is great. It's basically a layer that tracks all of the events that happen within your product and on your website. And then you can easily send those events to different systems as you need it. So you can record user sign up, user login, page visits down to the customer level, and then record those either in an analytics package like Mixpanel or Kissmetrics or something like that, or send them to other services like MailChimp or Customer.io. The third piece that I use is usually a more robust analytics package. So depending on company size, I'll use a Kissmetrics, a Mixpanel, or for example, if it's an e-commerce business, maybe like an RJ Metrics, or as you get bigger, like a Looker or something along those lines. So that's really kind of the analytics stack. On the qualitative side, and I think qualitative is so underrated for early stage companies. I definitely use Qualaroo for getting product feedback and website visitor feedback. User testing is a great way to get feedback about your product, uncovering confusion. Inspectlet and a couple other tools like that let you record user sessions and that type of thing can be really powerful. And then on the optimization side, I use tools like Optimizely for A/B testing, Crazy Egg for heat maps and that type of thing. But that's really my marketing stack in terms of measuring what's going on. The stack will last kind of depending on the size of your business. But I think, for example, Google Analytics will be great for web metrics. You can scale kind of as large as you like. But that's not going to answer key questions for your growth about things like retention and activation, monthly active users. It's really hard to, unless you're using Universal Analytics, to map, for example, if you have mobile users who are also web-based users and some of those types of things. So I think as you mature and your audience scales, you'll look to replace kind of early stage systems with like bigger, more robust ones. For example, you might go from, say, like a Kissmetrics to like a Looker, or as you add business intelligence groups and that type of thing, you might add Tableau and Redshift and those types of things. So I think it depends on just basically what your business needs to know and how many people you're dealing with. And as you get bigger, you can get more sophisticated. And that's when investing in those tools tends to make more sense. I know a lot of companies choose to build in-house rather than use these third-party tools. And I actually think to a point, in-house makes a lot of sense because third-party tools won't always fit exactly what you need. And especially early on, if you need to do kind of user-level tracking or referral programs, or you want to get really granular and be sure that you're very canonical about, say, like traffic source or user type or that type of thing, writing your own tracking and recording it into your own database and tools is something that I've seen work really, really well. I think it really depends on the makeup of your team. Some teams are very engineering heavy, which is great, and you can make that investment and build it in-house. Some teams are very business heavy and are very resource constrained on the engineering side, and so therefore third-party tools make more sense. I've worked in both environments, and I will say that when you're able to just query your database and get definitive answers, it makes life a lot easier. Although on the flip side, being able to just plug in one of these big tools and have autonomy on the business side is also really refreshing. So I think there's no perfect answer, but I think it really depends on the makeup of your team and your individual strengths. Growing a startup is a lot like flying a plane. If you don't have an instrument panel, you can't tell if you're going into the earth or going up into the sky, right? It's a very dangerous situation. And as a growth professional or as someone's trying to grow a business, a founder, you really are trying to figure out what's working, what's not working, and building a feedback loop. And without a really solid analytics foundation, you don't have that feedback loop. And so most companies because they're in such a race to build their product, get to market, or that type of thing, analytics feels like a distraction. Especially with free tools like Google Analytics, most founders will say, well, I have Google Analytics in place. Our metrics, our analytics is solved. Let's move on. We've checked that box. Let's move on to the other thing. And really, that's unfortunate because Google Analytics has a lot of shortcomings, doesn't give you the whole funnel, doesn't do a lot of person level kind of tracking, and there's a whole host of other problems with it. But really, creating a solid analytics foundation gives you the confidence to run growth experiments, to scale growth experiments, to spend money, to draw conclusions, and all the good things that you're supposed to be able to do. And so if you don't have that foundation in place, then all those decisions become much harder to make because there's lots of questions about the numbers. Are they accurate? Are they realistic? Is this even the right number? Are we looking at the right thing? One of the big things that I see startups usually miss the boat on is understanding when they're fully instrumented with their analytics versus they have Google Analytics set up. And so what happens is Jamie Quint wrote this great post about metrics debt, and basically the idea is that when you're not fully instrumented, it's harder to make decisions. There's more opinion involved. You can't ask really hard questions about your business and get answers, such as which source is the most profitable for us, or where do our most active users come from? And those questions get really hard to answer. And so over time, that slows down the business. So if you have a question about your business that, because you're not properly instrumented, takes you 3 days to answer versus 5 minutes, you're acquiring a ton of metrics debt. And so I think even though early stage companies are really interested in growing and like doing, getting new users in the door, they should take a step back and really make sure their product's well instrumented. And the team at Segment has actually created a really nice blueprint for instrumenting your startup, kind of from the website to the mobile app to the conversion funnel to in-app use. And I think if companies took the time to really get well instrumented, they would be able to make decisions faster, and it becomes a tailwind for your business that you're not burdened by this metrics debt. You're able to move much quicker and results in faster growth, more wins, and all the things that everyone likes. One of the huge benefits that I think today's startups have that companies didn't have even just 10, 15 years ago is that there are these massive networks of people aggregated out on the web. And people obviously think of Facebook and Twitter and some of these bigger consumer plays, but these aggregations of people exist everywhere. So whether it's Craigslist, Salesforce, Google Chrome, other consumer platforms like Tumblr and lesser known places, you have big platforms like Shopify for e-commerce or Magento. So you have these big groups of people that have ecosystems that already exist in one place that are really easy to reach now that you couldn't reach ever before. And so I think startups that think beyond like using Facebook and Twitter and look for other ecosystems that exist, GitHub, and these are all huge platforms that can be leveraged for growth. And I think what's interesting is that early on, when these platforms are very new, they're not designed for traditional marketers. They're not designed with it. There's no ad product. There's no pay per install product or, ad management platform, which makes them cumbersome to deal with from kind of a traditional marketing mindset. But on the flip side, they're also the most open and most accessible and give you lots of opportunities to try to figure them out. So I think startups today should always look for existing groups of people that are aggregated around an interest or a technology or a model that you can leverage. So I think platform integrations are a must-have for many different startups. I think it depends on the model, of course, and the platform you're going to choose. It depends on the customer you're going after and that type of thing, but I think in general they're a great opportunity for growth. A couple of specific examples of companies that have really been successful with platform integrations are a company called Mavenlink. They're an enterprise product management software. They created a free plugin for Google Chrome, the web browser, and worked really hard to be optimized for visibility in the Google Chrome store, and made it really easy to add tasks and manage your tasks through Chrome for Mavenlink. I think they're either the #1 most downloaded extension in the Google Chrome store or number one in their category, but it's been a tremendous success and been a huge customer acquisition opportunity for them. You don't really think of a web browser as a customer acquisition channel, but the ability to integrate there has been really, really powerful for them. And then you can take any numerous business tools that leverage the Salesforce App Exchange. I know plenty of developers where the Salesforce App Exchange is their number one customer install base. And then, of course, you have companies that sit on the back of Facebook. The thing with platform integrations is that sometimes the platforms can change the rules. So, for example, a very recent example is the video streaming service Meerkat was growing like crazy on top of Twitter, and Twitter cut them off from their platform to kind of stop their growth. And of course, like any good growth story, they were bending the rules a bit on how they use the Twitter API and whatnot. But again, that's an example of an app growing fast on the back of an existing platform by integrating with their API and using some of the inherent capabilities of that platform for growth themselves.